All right, next up, we've got Kansas and Arizona State. Sun Devils, 3-point home favorites, 50 the total. For the first time in the Lance Leipold era, we got problems. The honeymoon's over. At
Big
least
time.
this year it is.
Yeah.
There's definitely not as good. They're not as good this year. We've seen enough now to Kansas, and Jalen Daniels has regressed big time. I mean, this guy has really fallen off quite a bit. Now, I know he's been banged up a bit, but he has not recaptured the form we saw last year, 2 years ago. You know, they're still 0-4, 5 now, 0-5 against the spread. Kansas coming into this game, and just the one win on the year, which was against Lindenwood in their opener, and they didn't cover that game. And then lost at Illinois, lost to UNLV, lost at West Virginia, where that was a brutal loss against West Virginia. Brutal. They had that game. And then after the lightning delay, they blew it in the fourth quarter. And they didn't recover from that loss because they got scorched. They got absolutely torched on defense by TCU and Josh Hoover last week. I like ASU here. And anything, as long as this stays around 3, I like the Sun Devils here. ASU, they are getting better. Kenny Dillingham's doing a nice job. I know they're coming off a couple of setbacks on the road against Texas. Well, they beat Texas State, but then they lost to Texas Tech after that. Now they're back home in Tempe, where they got big home wins against Wyoming and Mississippi State. Now we're finding out Mississippi State and Wyoming are pretty bad. Okay, that you do have to factor that in. But I don't know. I see one team going in this direction, ASU, and I see another team going the other way. I like ASU here, anything around a -3 home favorite. And I like Sam Levitt, their quarterback, and Scadaboo running the football. Should be able to have some success here for ASU on the ground. I think this Kansas run defense, too, has been a little shaky, if I'm not mistaken. I'm looking at the numbers. Not great. The run defense, 130 rushing yards per game. Not terrible, but middle of the pack. Scadaboo should have success, open up things for Levitt in the pass game. I've been impressed with that kid at quarterback for ASU, Levitt. He's played pretty well. Yeah, I'm looking at ASU here as long as it stays around -3. CMAC, what do you think?
We got into a little earlier. Kansas, the blown game, West Virginia last week, 28-27. Just lose it. Daniels just doesn't look right. The same type guy. I thought that's why they'd win that game was defense, and they got some turnovers versus Hoover. But they didn't. I thought they'd run the ball way more successfully than they did against that shitty TCU defense. And that didn't happen. And just this team's not been good in the second half, especially the fourth quarter. And that's not good. I do not want teams. I had faded them twice, but man, this team's 0-5 ATS. Yep. Can't close. And I thought if they're ever this last week against a bad TCU defense, they just win the football game. No way. I learned my lesson. I can't take them at all. You know what's weird? These teams all have gone over basically this number. I know the Illinois game and UNLV, but this Kansas defense hasn't looked good the last couple of weeks. I think this total is a little light. Arizona State has gone over all this number, 50.5 in all their games, Bavano. And the Texas Tech game would have flew over. It was just all field goals. The teams got kind of some stops inside the 20 and 30. Yes. That game would have had 75 points. I mean, they just
were moving it, just not enough efficiency in the red zone. Yeah,
in the red zone, they were just going up and down. I thought this total, it's a little strange. I'm going to look into a little bit more, but like under the 51 here, this number 50. I'm leaning to this over. I'm looking to take it, and yeah, I can't back Kansas. I got to see it to believe it. You know, is it going to happen this week on the road? Sometimes it takes the team to go on the road and do it, but they have shown nothing to make me want to back them. Nothing. I caught it last week.
Yeah, bad fourth quarters, TCU, and especially the West Virginia and the UNLV game, you know, that they lost. Those were just
all three
last
week. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
All
these games have been over. Yep.
Finding a way to lose and being in a price range like this where you almost have to win the game to cover, that's not where I want to bet you. Let's put it that way.